Hey folks, this is Kalani. It's the second week of the Horrific Visions Revisited event, which means we have a completely different map to learn and explore, some new talents to earn and unlock, and unique rewards that only come from the Orgrimmar Horrific Vision. But certain parts of your progression from last week are not going to carry over, so if you're suddenly losing sanity a lot faster, there's a specific reason for that. And if you're not careful, you may waste your talent points and pick up some options that don't really help you out much this week. So let's go over what carries over from last week's progress, which parts you're going to need to repeat, and what you should do first in week 2 of Horrific Visions. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. The first thing you're going to want to do this week is pop back to the Hourglass and unlock some more talents. In week 2 we have access to the next 2 rows of talents, but you can only buy another 4 Echoes of N'Zoth. So talk to the NPC next to the Hourglass and buy up as many Echoes as they will allow you to, which should be 4. That will set you back about 4,000 corrupted mementos, so hopefully you have some saved up from last week. If you don't, you're going to have to run a few Horrific Visions before you can unlock all of the new talents that we have access to this week. Now, even though you have access to all 6 talents on those next 2 rows, we only have 4 echoes to actually use, so you can only get 4 new talents this week, and we'll have to wait until next week to unlock the final 4. What's important here is that unlike last week, you can unlock the 3rd row without picking up every talent on the 2nd row, so we don't have to put a point into that far right talent if we don't want to. This one increases the sanity of your party members, which does include yourself, so it's not like it's completely worthless, but this talent only really starts to shine when you have multiple players in your party. So if you play Horrific Visions by yourself most of the time, this isn't going to really do that much for you, so I would put all 4 talent points into the 2 left talent options. This first one gives us flat damage reduction and damage dealt buffs, and then the second one is a huge buff to our Steeled Mind, which reduces the rate at which your sanity drains. Thankfully, you can swap these talents around by simply right-clicking on something you've already learned, and then you can put that point in somewhere else. So don't just plonk these talents in the right-hand side if you aren't actually grouping up with other people. That would be a big waste of some potential power that could be the difference between clearing every objective in a single run and running out of sanity right before the end. Next week we should get another 5 echoes to unlock the rest of the talents in this window, so until then I would focus on those left 2 talent choices, especially if you play solo. After unlocking your new talents, you should also pick up the new corruption quest from the NPC right next to the Hourglass. This quest unlocks the greater versions of the corruption enchants, which are all just better than the lesser versions, so these are the ones we want to use on a head slot item for the rest of Season 2. To finish this quest, you are going to need a good chunk of the Corrupted Mementos currency, but that shouldn't be a problem if you're clearing through the vision at least a few times. But then we also need Black Blood Coagulate. These only come from Lost Area objective chests. Those are the 2 harder areas of each vision, so you can only get 2 per run if you clear both Lost Areas each run you do, meaning you're going to need a minimum of 4 Horrific Vision runs to finish this quest off and get your hands on those greater enchants. If you are only interested in this enchant and getting it as quickly as possible, you can skip over the corrupted zones for the most part and just clear the Lost Area objectives for 4 runs in a row. Once again, the actual enchant you pick for the quest doesn't really matter because you can buy the other ones or a replacement enchant if needed from the same NPC for some corrupted mementos. It's still worth checking your class guides though to pick the one that is supposed to be best for your character or spec, just to save you some currency down the line. Now after you've unlocked the ability to buy these greater enchants on one character, all of your alts will be able to buy them as well, and remember the currency is warband transferable, so you don't even have to run any visions on your alts if you don't want to. Now something super important to point out is that your Steeled Mind buff from last week does not completely carry over. Steeled Mind reduces the rate at which your sanity drains, so the higher this buff is, the longer you're going to be able to spend in each vision, so the easier everything is going to be. There are 2 contributing factors to your Steeled Mind buff: your Hourglass talents, which is noted as your base reduction in the buff, and then you get 10% more per zone that you have cleared. But the zone clearing is per vision map, and because this is the first time we have the Orgrimmar Horrific Vision map, that portion of the buff has been completely reset. So the very first thing you want to do is prioritize clearing each wing of the Orgrimmar vision at least once. So in your first run, you can just kill the main boss Thrall. That will give you another 10% sanity reduction on this Steeled Mind buff. Then when you head back in, focus on clearing the drag, then in the next run clear the Valley of Spirits, then move on to the Valley of Wisdom, and finally clear the Valley of Honor. Or do it in whatever order you want, it's completely up to you. You can double some of this up if you want to move a bit faster and you're not running out of sanity, but you don't have to clear multiple zones per run if you don't want to or you just can't manage it. You should focus on clearing each zone at least once as a priority, even if it takes you one run per zone. With all 5 zones cleared, your Steeled Mind buff should look like this: 30% from talents if you followed my advice earlier, and 50% from zones cleared, for a total sanity reduction of 80%, which will give us so much more time to get a full clear done, and then you can move on to mask clears. Now thankfully your tribute progress from last week does carry over, so all of the visions you ran in Stormwind will make your runs easier this week, and you can keep working on leveling those up to get better and bigger buffs. After you've cleared all 5 zones, you can start working on the other progression options available to you, like full clearing everything in a single run, and then you can start adding in masks. If you didn't get any masks from the Stormwind vision, your first one will come from clearing every objective in a single run. This one is called the Mask of Long Night, and I would replace it as soon as you can. This one cuts your sanity in half, which makes it one of the harder masks to deal with, and most other masks just require any one mask to be active, so as soon as you pick up another mask, use that to farm up the others, because chances are it's going to be an easier one to deal with. Now if you want to start getting some masks, in Orgrimmar you can get the mask from clearing each lost area with a mask active, so clearing the Valley of Wisdom will get you the Mask of the Burned Bridge, and then clearing the Valley of Honor will get you the Mask of the Daredevil. You can also get the other Nemesis shard now. With at least one mask active, head into the Broken Tusk Inn and interact with Gammon's axe on the table. When Gammon spawns, you just have to kill him and loot his Nemesis shard. Assuming you have the shard from Stormwind, you just need to combine them together and you'll receive the Mask of the Nemesis. And then if you didn't pick it up last week, the Mask of Multitudes comes from clearing all objectives and killing every enemy in a single Horrific Vision visit with at least one mask active. If you picked up all of the Stormwind specific masks last week, you should now have all 8, and you can start ramping up your rewards by equipping multiple masks and clearing the visions. The gear rewards cap out at 5 masks equipped, which will give you item level 658 gear in the final box at the end, but the crest rewards actually go all the way up to 8 masks, where you can get 11 gilded crests at the end of your run. So if you're just interested in gear, either for your main or your ults, you don't actually have to go higher than 5 mask full clears if you don't want to. If you're curious, there are 4 relatively easy masks, and then the other 4 are kind of a pain to deal with. The 4 easy masks include Burned Bridge, Dark Imagination, Nemesis, and Vengeance. If you're looking to complete a 5 mask run, I would recommend having all 4 of those masks active. The last one you do is up to you. Daredevil massively increases the sanity damage you take, so if you were good at dodging, this one might not be too bad. Long Night halves your sanity, like we already talked about, so you just have to move quite a bit faster. Pained will double up the madness effects in all areas, which can be really annoying or not too bad depending on how well you deal with those mechanics, and then I would just never use Multitudes. This mask more than doubles the amount of trash you have to work through and adds even more dangerous monsters into the mix. I would only ever use this mask when trying for an 8 mask run. Whenever you manage to full clear with 1 mask and then full clear with 5 masks, remember to pop by the weapon vendors in Dornagal and purchase the Warbound Purifying Kits. The one you can buy from the Champion Weaponsmith makes any future Veteran gear drops Warbound, and then the one from the Hero Weaponsmith causes any future Champion gear drops to be Warbound. So after you get those 5 mask clears in, you can actually use Horrific Visions to farm up Champion and Veteran Warbound gear to help you gear up your ults even faster. If your freshly dinged ults can skip straight into Champion gear, they can then head straight into Raids or Mythic Plus or even Horrific Visions to start farming Hero gear, which cuts out a big chunk of that initial gearing up section, which can be a bit frustrating. And then I guess one other important piece of information you may have missed is where to find the bad potion in the Orgrimmar map. If you hang to the left hand side of the area when you first zone in, it's just in this building here. It's kind of the same setup. We've got a dead NPC, a note on the floor, and a singular potion. That potion colour is always going to be the bad one for your run, so you can set up your weak aura, make your notes, or just remember it, however you decide to do it, and then obviously every other potion colour will be safe in that run. But that's where we would recommend you use your talent points this week and what you should do first in the Orgrimmar Horrific Vision map. So that's it for this video. Now that we've had a chance to play the Stormwind and Orgrimmar Horrific Visions, which one do you prefer so far and why? Are there any bosses or areas in particular that you like or hate? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can find links in the description or click the join button just below the video. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful in any way, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're always kept up to date. Thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.